All right.
Back in the game, finally. Okay.
Hello there, everyone. My name is Stefan Kyriakopoulos. I am your exchange student from Romania, and today we have a very special guest.
Haha.
So yeah,
Okay. So my name is Zoya, and I'm your exchange student from Serbia, hosted here in Hanford, and we're both Huskies. Sorry.
Huskies.
Haha.
All right. So I'm gonna start with the first question, and in case you didn't figure it out already, guys, this is a podcast where we talk about cultural shocks and differences between the U.S. and our cultures. So, Zoya, speaking of which, how did you find your first experience with cultural shock in the U.S.?
Well, at first, I have to take note that the flag is everywhere. So when we first
Yeah.
arrived, like in the airport, the first thing you saw is like this humongous flag in
Oh
front of
my.
it, and then every other building had it. So I was
Yeah,
like,
I know.
oh yeah, I'm in America. Okay, they
It's
made it clear.
crazy. Like I used to run every weekend, and it's crazy just going out. Every almost every house in here has it. It's I mean I love it, to be honest.
It's part of their culture.
Yeah, yeah. But
But
you would definitely not see the flag in Serbia, right?
we would, but on important buildings
And
though.
yeah, yeah, it's the same in Romania.
So, but what else I know is that culture shock for me wasn't that strong.
Mm.
Because you're watching all these movies, right? And you're like thinking, oh, it's too good to be true. And then you come to a real American high school and it is exactly that. So you have the
Yeah,
football
I know.
players, the cheerleaders,
I know.
everything's exactly the same. So I was like, oh, I discouraged myself way before I came. So that's, and they
Yeah,
positively impacted me like, oh, yeah, okay, it is like the
you
movies.
lowered the expectations.
Yeah.
For me, it was, I, I would say it was the same because I didn't have the expectations of being exactly like in the movies. It's crazy.
Exactly like in the
It's
movie.
crazy.
And I would say it's like better because in the movies you have these bullies, right? And here I didn't encounter
Yeah,
anybody
yeah,
mean.
me neither. I think it's like Hanford West, especially, you don't find bullies at all.
We're sponsoring.
Yeah.
So, 5-star review for that.
For real.
So, what's the biggest cultural difference between Romania and the US?
Well, for me, what I found out that like I really miss about Romania, it's just the physical contact. Cause in here nobody hugs.
No, it's
It's
like
crazy.
forbidden.
It's
Oh, God.
crazy. So for us, let's say we were in a group of friends, right? And for me as a boy, with my friends that are girls, we would hug, and with my friends that are boys, we just like do a handshake or something like that. But this is like with everyone, and like physical contact. In here, people like are in their own little bubble. Like you
And at
don't
first I wasn't
cross
sure. Is it
that.
like the effect after the pandemic kind of
I
thing?
don't know.
But then, like, people don't share cups, like the ones we drink, or like
Oh
bowls,
yeah.
which, like, at practices was like, oh, okay.
I know.
But yeah, no physical contact and no sharing
I know
personal
for
items
me, like,
whatsoever.
I think the Romanian culture is very warm. This is how I
Mm.
describe it. So basically, when you're in Romania, you're gonna experience a lot of like warmth, like in the actions, in the physical contact, in everything. People are just you can feel how like kind they are, and
Mm.
friendly. So that's the thing I would miss very much if I were to move abroad.
The thing I noticed, like, the similarities between the Serbians and the Americans is that because of their individualism, I thought the Americans were like more reserved to themselves. But
Mm.
here I find out that everybody's so open, and
Yeah, that's true.
I've heard so many like stories that even I thought were like personal, and they were
What?
shared with me on such a level where it's like we're talking like we're best friends, and I knew this girl for like 2 days
Two
maybe.
days?
So
Oh,
they're
yeah.
very open people, which I find a similarity with the Serbians.
That is true, indeed. Like, I guess it just depends on the experience you have, Because, like,
Yes,
with some people, you just click. With others,
and depends on which group of people you're in.
I agree. I agree.
'Kay.
So, can you share a funny or interesting language misunderstanding you've encountered?
And you know this? Every time I ask Mark Sherman when we volunteer at the King's Art Center for water,
All
he
right.
can't understand me, and I think that is because like my pronunciation of the water. Because
War.
like back home it's always British English,
Yeah,
and
I
they're like
agree. Yeah.
always
Oh,
overplaying
yeah,
it,
yeah.
water and stuff like that, that weird accent. And so here I'm never sure if the T is silent, if they do pronounce it, how hard is the R. So that word is like bugging me all the time.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know it's the same because if you are studying, well, in Europe, when you're studying English, you're always going to be taught the British way. And
Which
coming,
is kind of fancier,
it's
not gonna
fancier,
lie.
but
Okay.
it's very weird because, like, you encounter the American movies and all of that, and, like, basically, your accent is gonna be a mix of everything, and it's gonna be unique.
Especially your own.
And
Which when the
people,
R mixes
it's
up,
so it's so weird, like, just going. I was at the hair, at my, like, barber shop, and literally the barber, it was 2 minutes. I've talked 3 words, and the barber was like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Is it that obvious for
no.
real?"
Oh, you remember when they told me I have a Romanian accent?
Oh.
So it's either Romanian or Russian. That's what I got.
Oh my.
Okay, so the most searched up and the most asked question for me at least was, how was your daily routine, right? So like,
Mm,
is it like that different? And like, of course it is.
it is very
So
different.
how would you describe your daily routine, like to the Americans?
Well, first of all, like, in Romania, the school does not last as long. I mean, oh
This is
my,
torture,
I
honestly.
know,
Like, I don't know,
I know.
man.
To have school until 4. Well, at first it was very hard to adapt because I was like, that's 3 or 4 hours more than what I'm used to. So I don't know. Like, right now, I don't feel the burden as much, but it's just the extracurriculars that are killing me. Because every day I get home like at 6, 7, and with the daylight saving time, it's already dark. I'm like, hell no. In Romania, like, I would go to school at around 8, and I would always be tardy. Every time, like, I would get there at 8:10. Then I would have school, until 12 or 13. That's like 1 p.m.
Mm.
And then I would have my own thing. Like, for Romanians, life starts after work or after school. So I'd go to the gym with my buddies, or just hang out, or, like, have some time for myself, just read something or listen to a podcast, go for a walk, things like that. I
Have
mean,
more time for yourself.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I feel like the routine here is way too dynamic, where every day it's waking up in the morning, which is terrible. I miss my two shifts. And other than that, so people who play sports, when I arrived here, I started having practices.
Hmm.
So it's school till around 4, and then 2 hour practice till like 6, 7. And then I get back home, and there's nothing else you can do except sleep.
Oh yeah, I
So
agree. You're so tired.
you're so tired
I
by the
know.
end of the day, and so I'm so amazed with like these overachieving people at the school
I
where they have
know.
four
I
AP
know.
classes, they're practicing. So it's really like
I
you
had
have to organize your day differently.
exactly. I had 4 or 5 presentations today. So some of the people, they were in the classes I had presentations in multiple times. 4 AP classes in one day. It's like crazy. I don't know how you guys can do it. If you watch this and you have 4 AP classes or 3 AP classes,
Good
you
job,
are you
keep
are a
doing
hero.
it.
It's crazy. And
Oh, man.
back home, I was like in the most advanced pathway you could be, because the Romanian educational system, we don't
Mm,
choose our classes; we have
yeah.
pathways, and it was not as hard, like,
No,
physically
and the
demanding.
thing I think why is it hard? You keep seeing the same teacher every day. So back home, I would have like hard maths, but I would have like 3 times a week. So you can
Yeah,
like
yeah.
rest from it. Here you like see him every day, and
Yeah,
ugh,
because in
I
here,
hate repeating.
like, especially in Halfway West, the schedule is on a daily basis, so you have just a day schedule. Back home, I had a weekly schedule. I think that yours was the same, right?
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah,
like
so
the classes would differ between
yeah,
the
yeah. I
weekdays.
had like 18 classes, but it was not like every day, so it was different.
Yeah. Oh, I miss my 2 times a week history or something. Okay,
Uh, so, what American foods or snacks surprised you?
everything. Because
Everything?
everything is banned in Europe, so it's like, oh, discovery. And there's a lot of discovery of neon foods. So Fanta is
What?
neon orange and
Oh,
tastes
yeah.
differently.
I agree. Yeah,
Mountain Dew.
sodas taste so differently here.
And like I don't know for the good or for the worse.
I know, I know. You know what I found out? Like, because it's so strange, it's so different to us. Like, we have never encountered this before. It just is so weird. We have this instinct of saying it's bad. It's not necessarily bad. It's just so different. We have a lot of bias. So, for example, for me, it was the Sprite thing. First time
It's
I tried
right.
Sprite, it was so freaking sweet. I was like, hell no. No, I love the Romanian Sprite more. But then I started drinking it like, more and more while I was out. And I actually think I like the US Sprite more now.
Oh, no, the
So,
Sprite is a good one. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
No,
because
what
it's
I
very different.
noticed is that so aside from the weird color, they have weird descriptions. So for Gatorade, naturally flavored with natural flavors. Okay, that told me a lot.
Yeah.
So the ingredients they add sugar to milk,
I know.
which
Sugar
was
is crazy here.
so there's a lot of sugar, but that doesn't mean it's
The
like all
bread.
bad.
Oh my,
Oh,
the bread. Okay, guys, so probably most of our listeners or watchers are gonna be American. Guys, the bread is sweet. It's so freaking sweet.
it never goes bad. The
It's
expiration
crazy,
date
and
is like 3 years
it's
next.
so dense. Like I miss Romanian bread so much.
Oh, I miss my warm bread. You wake up
Yeah,
in the morning to
yeah.
buy the freshly
The
baked
fresh
one.
bread.
No, I wouldn't say like the food is bad though.
No, there are some things that are really cool in here, but I would say like if you're really into food, like for example, I love to cook, so in that part I'm very conservative, and I would say I'm very European.
Mm.
I get very offended when people call pasta noodles, and I had,
Ah, you're one
I
of
had, yeah,
those.
yeah. I had this
Uh,
conversation with my host family one night while we were having like pasta, and they called it noodles. I was, oh my, and I'm not even Italian. It's just like,
Mamma mia.
mamma
Okay.
mia.
No, but the thing is, the everybody was back home. The biggest question was, "Oh my God, what am I gonna eat?" Their
Mhm.
food is like bad, and I wouldn't say it's bad, but if you really care about what goes
Diets.
into it, I would say maybe avoid America
Maybe.
for a while. So that's
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, I would say it's like the oil and the sugar that's like is very
oh, and
like the
everything is
levels are
deep
very
fried. Every meat.
high. Deep fried.
Um, so we did touch a little bit about the educational systems,
Yeah.
and I would say because we're neighboring countries, we're kind of similar in that
Yeah,
department.
I actually found that yeah to be very true. I didn't
So
know it.
it was like really easy to relate when you were, for example, talking on today's presentation in Miss Edwards' class. Oh, how the customs where you in the business, for example, you start
Mhm.
the small talk, or you go
Yeah.
after the business meeting to like a dinner or something.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
I would have to make a parallel with that in school.
Mhm.
So you hang out with people, and the hangout doesn't stop at school like here does. You hang out
Oh
after
my.
school, and
Here,
those are my
here.
I'm missing those.
Man, like so I had this last presentation in AP Gov, sixth period, and the thing that I found out, because I had the thing where I asked some of my Romanian friends to record the video for the Americans, and then I showed it, and like then I asked the American kids, could you write some things or like make a short video for the Romanians? And what I found out, the thing is like in Romania, when you're in school, like when you enter high school, from the first day of your ninth grade until the 12th, when you end and you graduate, you're gonna have the same people in your classroom
Same over and
every
over
day,
again.
and it's like it's impossible not to make connections with them. In here, you have to put a lot of effort into connections. It's not like as easy. So for me, like my classroom is like a family to me. And actually, some of my classmates, they're calling me and texting me, "Hey, how is in the USA? How are you feeling?" Whereas in here, I feel like everything is more distant. Like everybody is doing their own thing. But uh, I don't know. I don't know if the Romanian educational system is better because, to be honest, I feel better in here.
Mm.
So, just having the ability to choose what I want to study is, I think, I love that. And also, the teachers. Oh my
Oh,
God.
the teachers are my favorite part here.
The American teachers. So, if the teachers are gonna watch this, thank you so
Yes, you're
so
great.
so
Thank you for
much.
all that. Because I wouldn't call them lenient, though. People
No,
are calling
no,
them lenient. Oh, they're too easy. I wouldn't say that. I
no.
would say they're like kind, and they're like
Your
first
main, yeah.
they decorated their classroom. They're in their own space, and then they're like comfortable in teaching. So
I
back
agree. I
home, I would
agree.
say classrooms are much louder. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not in a big class personally, but there are classes like with 35 kids,
35. We
and
have
none
like
of those
28.
ever shut up. And here in some of my classes, it's dead silence. So I feel like a
Oh,
teacher
what?
can actually like kind of do
Kind
their
of did.
job in
Mm-hmm.
their mood, like in their like little sphere, right?
And
Like without
I
the
love the thing that
interruption.
like teachers really want to help you. You know, like if you show that you care, they're gonna care about you, and they're gonna push you and help you do your best. Whereas in Romania, like teachers do not care as much. You know, and I feel that's a bad thing. Like teachers should be models, and I think the USA does a great job at preparing them. Teachers are.
I think
I love
although
that.
the USA does do a great job of preparing, and I have here since I came not met one bad teacher. In a way, you know when teachers like get mad and then like they start yelling or something, they like
Mhm.
get really agitated. Here I have never seen an agitated teacher, and when they do, I saw like once a teacher got mad at Narai.
Oh,
And so
what?
she came up and she apologized after the class.
Oh yeah,
And she was
yeah.
so sincere with that. And that's a scene I never saw before. So
For
I was
real,
like,
I
okay.
was when I heard the story, I was, oh my god, whoa.
And it was
Like
like a
that,
sincere, like
yeah,
well
that shows
constructed.
character, you know.
Yes.
And that's like just being a model for the children.
And
That's
I believe like that gentleness is what actually like pushes some kids here.
yeah, yeah.
So the system is very gentle, but I would say if somebody is really trying to be, the system is gentle but competitive. So if you get too comfortable with that gentleness, you like fall back.
I know like some, you know, 'cause like there are two sides of the story, right? So on the one side, you have the kids that care and that's the teacher's gonna push them, and you know it's the wonderful story. But on the other hand, some kids start not to care anymore, and I saw that a lot.
Yes.
It's quite alarming, to be honest, because like just staying on your phone, not caring about what surrounds you, you wouldn't get that in Romania. Like teachers are gonna be alarmed the first second you do this, and they're gonna tell you it's not alright.
Oh, I would say that technology also. Everybody
Yeah,
has AirPods on class, and like
Chromebooks,
everybody's okay.
Chromebooks.
Chromebooks,
Literally,
haha. So the technology, like, you aren't allowed, obviously, any headphones during class. Here, people are talking with the teacher while listening to music.
I
So
know,
that was my okay. And
I know,
Chromebooks,
crazy.
it was so hard to adapt to the
And do
technology
you
when
know
I
what's even
came.
weirder? Because for me, like back in Romania, teachers would dictate to you what to write in your notebooks, and I had an iPad. So for me,
So you were advanced. You were more
I was
advanced
like,
than me.
I
Damn.
use technology very much, but I think that's better to be honest. 'Cause like I can organize it however I want, you know. In here, everything is like assignments.
Mm.
Oh, and speaking of assignments, the homework thing
The
is
homework
very
load is
different.
so big. Because back home, how I would used to study is you have your notebook, the teacher talks, you take notes, right? And so when taking the notes, you come back home, you study from a book, you
Mhm.
underline, and then you
Yeah.
go through your notes. And here, you do homework, 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 and out of nowhere, there's a test.
I know it's
And
crazy.
they're like, oh
It's
yeah, but we
crazy.
did the homework on it, so you're supposed to like I never found the material where to study out of. You have to find the homework that you did and through
Is,
that to
do you know
study.
why? I believe like maybe is the thing also in Serbia, and I think that's it. So we are used to like more theoretical learning, right?
Mm.
Like going to seminars or lectures from the teachers, and that's how we are used to learn. But in here, people are used to learn by making, by practicing it. You know, it's not as much theory as it's practice, and for us, it's just very hard to learn from practice because we're not used to it. So that was for me one thing I encountered, and I was like, maybe I should improve this. Maybe this is about me,
Yes.
or maybe it's like a mix of them. You know, I think in a perfect world there would be an like you know both both methods used.
But I would say that's one thing I would like to take from our education system and share it with the
You
American
the
one,
American, yeah.
because we're used to like we have oral exams, for example. So when you're like when we don't have a test, you're gonna stand in front of the teacher and
Yeah, we have
talk
that. We
about
have
what you
that
learned.
too.
And here I see kids who are quite like they're confident outside of class, but when they're asked a question in class, they aren't able to form a sentence.
Yeah, and
They're
that's
very
quite.
quiet and they're very some kids, not of course not all,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
for the majority of kids that I have encountered, they can't form a sentence like in a way that they will like construct a criticism and something.
Mm.
So I would like to take that from our educational system and put it in theirs.
All right. So going a little bit forward, I wanna ask this question. Discuss any stereotypes you encountered about Serbia in the U.S.
About Serbia, well, that it's part of Russia. That thankfully, so I don't want this to be a jab to my Americans because do love you very much. Everybody's nice here, but thankfully, a lot of people do not know geography or history.
Oh, oh yeah, I know,
So
I know.
in that encounter, the only encounter where I actually found somebody that knew the history and knew where I was my Spanish teacher asked me, "Oh, can you tell us about communism?" Which
Oh
is
yeah,
it is
yeah.
like
It's I know.
similar, but like it is the land, that part of the world did face it, but not specifically my country. So I'm thankful because they don't know the bad one, the parts. In the PDO, the orientation back in Serbia, they were telling us they were preparing us for the worst.
Oh, for
So
real?
they were saying if they call you a communist, describe that we were not a communist
We
country.
don't have that. We didn't have
Or
that.
they said,
What?
especially with like the war in Ukraine right now.
Yeah, I know.
And
I
so
know.
if you knew the history, people would often associate Serbia as a Russia supporter. So
Mm.
here I was thankful that nobody actually asked me about that specific like controversial topics
Mhm.
where I wouldn't have to explain myself even though I had no part of it. So I
Mm.
was like it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Oh, they
Mhm.
don't actually know. They're in their own world and they're not concerned about me, and that's what I liked actually. Like me not having to describe any political problems ever, which for the Balkans can be tough.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. The thing with being Russian, it's I know it doesn't make any
uh,
sense, and it's just even like Russian people, because like I don't feel some Russian people they can be very nice. It's crazy. It's just like the stigma in there,
yes.
and just I don't know. But for me, like I would say the biggest stereotype, Romanians are gypsies, and I've heard these
Oh.
questions like, "Oh, what about gypsies in Romania?" And I'm like, "Oh my god."
I don't like to describe the gypsy problem in Europe
Yeah,
because
cause
they often describe it as racism in Europe, and it's a very hard topic to talk
it's
about.
way more complicated. Yeah, I
And it's
agree.
like deeper than that.
Yeah, it's ethnicity. It's something way deeper. All right,
I would ask you how the family dynamic,
family dynamic.
especially with your host family.
All right. So I would say first of all, it depends a lot. So each family is very different in the U.S. But what's different from Romania? Workload. Workload. I mean, literally, I feel in here so many people are so busy working, working,
They're
working,
overworked.
working so much. I mean, when do you have time to enjoy life? And the dynamic is like, for me, I had to schedule my things because everybody's schedule is so filled with events, like through the roof. It's so hard to just make time. And I have this, well, it's kind of my quote, my favorite quote. It's not that you don't have time, is that you don't make time. Because, like, if it's a priority for you, you're gonna make time for it, right? So for me, it was like kind of discovering this value I have, of like if I care, I will prioritize this. Because having no time and having such crazy schedules with all the family, I would say that's very important to me. Just like being aware of that value I have.
Mm. In my host family, which I have a great host family, shout out to Raquel, Tony, and Hazel.
Woo!
I would say biggest difference, although they're quite similar to my original family, which is the reason I think I clicked so much,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
is saying stuff in advance. So if I
Mhm.
have an event, I have to say it in advance. And although they're not like pushy, they're not strict, they
They
do
do
they
require
would
you.
like that, so
Mhm.
they can organize around that. And back home, what I would say for my plans is, hey, I'm going out right now. I'll be back. I don't know when.
Yes.
And
Oh
like
my,
all my
yes.
parents would say is, keep the phone on you and be safe, right?
So this is, sorry to interrupt you, but like this is exactly how my life was back in Romania, and this is why I think I struggled very, very much in the beginning, because for me, I am the most independent person you could find. Like I was 14, I was going with the train to the seaside on my own,
Hmm.
so like I value my independence very much, and I always found ways of traveling, not necessarily traveling, but just like commuting and going places I want to with the people I want to, always being safe, of course, always like having my parents know where I am. But it was that thing, like just the ability to decide for yourself when and where you're gonna be. And I miss this in here because in here, like, if you decide to walk, you have to have
First,
in
it's
mind,
impossible.
yeah, it's like for me, I walk when I really want to go somewhere and I don't want to depend on other people, for the ride. I just walk. And it's crazy. It's 50 minutes
No,
walk.
it's impossible to walk here because everything is made for cars.
Yes.
And so when I want to, my biggest like problem when I got here, the biggest like I guess that could be a cultural shock is where I want to walk out of the, I just want to walk,
Mhm.
and my host mom would be like, "Oh, we don't do that here."
I
So I
know.
can't just like when I want to, I can't just walk out of the house.
So, just this Sunday, right? Or no, sorry, Saturday. I was going to Walmart from the northern part of Hanford, and it's like a 50-minute walk. On my 50-minute walk, I haven't seen one person on the sidewalk.
And I would say it's because one of the reasons is every like explanation behind it why shouldn't I walk like outside is, oh, there's homeless. And they're like there's that paranoia around them, which right
Is
now I
Yeah.
haven't encountered it. But
I would
like
say like we have a lot of homeless in Europe in some parts, not as crazy as in here, of course. The problem is way, way much bigger
way
in
over the
here.
top.
But like we are not really scared about it. Like, you know,
Or at least back home, like I live in Belgrade, which first of all, I'm so sorry I ever complained about our overcrowded buses, cuz here the bus, oh, there's no bus. There's like
the
one bus
buzz.
going around town
Yeah,
and
I
you can
know.
never catch it. I don't know where the station is. I've been trying to figure it out for 3 months. So, sorry to my buses and my trains and every social commute ever. When I want to like get out of the house and I could walk alone down the street, it could be like in the middle of the night, I would still feel safe here.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
so here, the moment it gets dark, people get back to their houses and they don't
They don't leave
exit
anymore.
them.
Yeah, I was so shocked, and then I figured out that in Europe, and like this is the case in Romania. I think this is the case in Serbia too. But life starts like after 7 p.m.
Oh, I missed that. Oh
Even
god.
like hanging out with my friends, like not having rides because we don't drive until we're 18, right? So we would walk until 11 p.m. in the city. Or like if
More.
if you would just want to like go more hardcore, like you're going partying, you'd be home at 2 a.m. and that's fine.
And I would say the walk is the journey, not the
Yes,
exact like
yes.
event. So for me, when I go with my best friend, what's the fun part? The walk to the
Cause like you
place.
discover things, or you just have fun, or you just like you. For me, I just enjoyed walking because I got to see so many places, and just like
And
clear my
look at
mind.
other people.
Yes, yes, and like it's so funny because if for example for me in Romania, I lived in a small town. I was always meeting with people I knew, and it was just like having small talk, getting to know like what's happening in your community. In here, people are inside houses, and I think that's kind of sad to be honest. Like,
Oh, the sad thing is that I haven't seen my neighbors for 3 months. I haven't seen like anybody exit their house. So,
oh, so what traditions or customs from home do you miss the most? Like, I
mm.
know for me it's food, but what about you?
So we have this thing called slava, where we basically celebrate our, I guess it's like our saints in a
Oh, you're
way.
saying? All right.
So it is a time of year where family and friends like get together and like eat and drink and we have that little community, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with my Slava coming up soon, it is that kind of like feeling, oh, like I'm missing that where I can't
All
really
right.
go. I cannot be with family and I cannot eat the food. Oh, how I miss the food, man.
Oh, I know.
So that Slava back home, you don't really notice it because it's like, oh, we have Slava every year, like like right.
Yeah, that's right. Cause like when you're home, you do this so often. It's so like that's the norm. And when you don't have it,
Oh, the thing I unexpectedly miss because I'm not that religious, right? But
mm-hmm.
we do have our customs regarding the Slava. So, for example, the priest would come to our house
Oh, my.
and actually like make holy water and then
Oh
walk
yeah,
around
no,
the
no, no. That's
house
the
with
same here in
with
Romania.
like.
Yeah, yeah.
So you invite a priest to your apartment and then he walks around, makes a prayer, it's whatnot. And here, when I described that to my host family, they were like, "What? You invite a stranger in your house? Like, it's a priest."
It's a
So those
priest.
things, well, like the feel and the smell of that, like of something burning,
Oh, all right.
the
Yeah, I know what you're
feel
referring
and
to.
this like the fragrance, and then that like religious feeling around the
Mm-hmm.
priest, and then the religious feeling around the Slava and that community and the family. Every warm aspect of that tradition is kind of like is missing right now.
I know, I know. So this is the thing about the Balkan region. Like people are very into religion in the Balkans, and it's a very big part of the communities. Like even though if you're, I'd say younger, it's not that you don't care as much. It's just you don't have it every day. But
It
the
doesn't weight you down as much.
yes, yes, but the traditions are still there in some way or another. And
And like
for
even if you don't believe, you're gonna like carry it
and
out.
like I really care about our traditions because like when I was in Romania, I didn't care that much about them. I was like, yeah, all right. But then now I figured out I miss them so much. So it's all
Yeah.
about the heritage you have, and I feel like I'm so proud of it. Like when I get back home, oh my god, I'm going to promote them so badly. I'm gonna do every one of it.
And I feel like that pride is actually building up in me. Because back
Yes,
home,
yes.
like, why would you say you're proud if you're
You're
living in the
you're living
country,
in
you're
here,
surrounded
yeah.
by every other one? But here I came and I'm like, I'm the proudest Serbian ever. Like,
Yes,
literally,
yes.
where are you from? I'm from Serbia. Like, that proud, like, talk about it. So I feel like that's what's, like, leveling up the more I go.
Mhm, mhm.
So I would ask you, what are your favorite fashion trends here?
Fashion trends in here. Oh my.
In both a funny way and like, oh,
Well, so guys, I know, but like fashion in Europe, it's very big deal, right?
I guess yeah.
And the brands thing, like if you
You
don't,
you have. Mhm.
yeah, like it's actually a very big thing in Europe. For me personally, I never cared about the brands. Like if it's a good clothes, go for it. Especially like if it's a deal. Oh yeah, or if it's basic. But what I don't understand here, and maybe this is just a Hanford West thing. Oh my god, pull your pants up, guys!
Oh
What the
god,
actual
they're by
heck?
their knees. They're by
I'm
their
like, I
knees.
can see your underwear. What?
The sagging pants, which okay, the haircuts.
Yeah, and I think the haircuts are so everywhere you'd go in Europe, it's either long hair, like the middle thing, like Swedish whatever
Or the
thing,
buzz cut.
the buzz. Oh yeah, that's actually
We
that's
have the most buzz cuts,
the
I would
buzz
say.
cuts, but it's also the fade.
It is the face.
So for me, we have one place in Hamford that does like really good fades, and that's it. And I was like, where are all the fades?
Oh, I thought that like a mullet was a joke until I came here. I was like, yeah, nobody wears that. That's like
I
like a
know, I
throwing
know.
thing, you
So
know.
in Romania, you would wear that as a joke, like if you lost a bat or
Back home,
something.
you wouldn't wear
Yeah,
it.
I know. It's very different.
But I feel like I saw somebody with a rat tail, for example.
Oh,
So like everything buzzed, just like one tail hanging out. And although it's kind of ridiculous when you see it sometimes, I feel like it's kind of like original in a way, where
hmm
like not every mullet is the same.
not
So
every. All
good for
right,
them.
now for Christmas, I'm gonna like print this on a T-shirt and give it to you. Not every millet is the same.
Not all mullets.
Oh my. Now, how do you think like attitudes towards time vary between Serbia and the US?
Sports. Oh.
No, not sports, but like for example in Romania, we can get to sports later. But
Mm.
for me in Romania, like it's okay to be late, you know, like not crazy late. But for
Oh,
example,
and time management is surely.
yeah,
Because here, oh, sorry. Here, I wouldn't, like back home, if you're late, you do get written up at some point, right?
yeah, yeah,
And
like
back home, you do get a consequence in like lowering the grade.
oh, for real? We
Yes.
don't have
So
that.
you do have a consequence. Here, I would say the consequence is going to Saturday school, which for me isn't that big of a consequence actually, because like you just
Yeah.
go to school and hang out, I guess. But yeah, tardies, you can't, after the bell rings, that's it. You're getting written up. Even if you're like in front of the door, like it's like they're racing you, man.
So for me, like I feel in Romania, especially like in the educational system, people are okay with being late.
Mm.
So maybe this is just a cultural thing or just like I grew up, but for me, like this is just how I am because I think life happens, you know. So unexpected events can happen, and just worrying about every time I need to be on time. Oh my God, I'm 1 minute late. That's crazy. It's 1 minute. Like
Mm.
nobody's going to die. It's 1 minute.
Oh, one thing about time is when they make a party, it's like, oh, from 2 to 6. And you have to leave at 6. That was my thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, what does that mean? And then they actually throw you out at 6. And I'm
I
like,
know. Parties are very different for me in Romania. It's so the starting part is very lame. Like people just
you have to arrive an hour late in order to
yeah,
get into the good
exactly. Because
part.
like if you arrive like on time, it's going to be like nobody's in there. Everybody's just like kind of awkward. And then like 2 hours later, oh my God, partying like music, dancing. In here, I think it's very different.
Mm.
You know, I mean, for me, I don't even need alcohol to have fun. You know, like I can be crazy and having a very great party. It just like it depends on the people I'm with. You know.
And I feel like here, I'm mostly surrounded by people who are actually like in this competitive kind of program where they are taking like multiple AP classes and actually trying to get into a good university. So for them, being punctual, being on time is a part of their routine. If they're late, that messes up the whole day's
Yeah.
routine. And so those are the people who are really focused
Mhm.
and hanging out with them, and then you being like a half an hour late is like really disrespectful. So like for me, I had to like
Kind of.
rearrange
You're
that in
yeah.
a way where, oh, I have to respect their time because they respect their time so much. Where back
Mhm.
home, oh, when I say 4, we meet at 5.
Yeah, I
That's how
know.
it goes.
I actually have a saying with my friends back home. It was like, if I say 4, it's 4:15, just so you know. uh, so you were talking about sports, right?
Yes.
And I don't know if it is the same in Serbia, but back in Romania, the sports are not associated with the school.
Whatsoever. And I actually, that is an American thing I wanted to experience, that school spirit, because I
Oh
never
yeah.
like understood
Yes.
why would you why would you be so proud of a school? It's just like a school.
Mascots, like
But then you come here and
schools.
being a husky is fun. I don't
It's
know.
really fun. Yeah, I
Or like, oh,
agree.
against our game against Sierra, I was like, yeah, I'm a husky now. I was showing the W.
The W.
Yeah, so
W
the
Riz.
sport, I guess in schools it is important because at some point you have to compete. You have to like compete in some way. You have to show you're better in some
And
way.
you know, like I don't love this competition, like especially because high school should be about getting like memories, making memories with other
It should be
people.
the best time of your life, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, like competing so much and focusing all on your academics, like you miss out a lot of things.
And I feel like back home, at least that's how it is. By the end of 8th grade, you're supposed to like study enough to get into a good high school.
Yes, I
And
agree.
then
Yeah,
like
it's the
a
same.
university is like any other university. Like at least in Serbia, you have the University of Belgrade, and then it just depends on which like branch you want to go, right?
Mhm.
Medicine, law, etc. So you can't really compete for that. You just do the test. And here, you can go to whatever high school there is, but then you're competing for
For
college.
college,
And
yeah.
I feel like that's what is kind of ruining the high school experience for some of the people. Whereas like, oh, if I have fun right now, will I be able to go in a good college later?
I know, right? Because like for us, what's not fun, it's until eighth grade, because you work your ass off. But then you get into the good high school, you have a good
And
diploma,
then you can
and then
rest.
you're like 4 years of chill. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I miss like I know it's not a good thing, but people in Romania, like if it was a boring class or like you had art, and in Romania like art is seen as a
As a boring class.
yeah, it's like a class you don't do anything. Like teachers are not even showing up, so you would skip class, right? And you would go
The skipping class.
yeah the skipping
Like
class.
I was a good girl. I didn't skip class. But sometimes when a teacher doesn't show
Sometimes.
up, then like you get
Well,
get
I mean,
out of
I
it.
don't want to lie. I skipped classes sometimes. Like, come on. Like, you can be a true Romanian high schooler without skipping some
I
classes.
know.
It's.
I was beating my own like
And like, I'm a good student. I really care about my classes and my teachers, and I always do my homework. But it's like, no, I'm not
no, for
going.
me, if a teacher is late, I'm the first one to go. I'm the one motivating others. Oh, let's go, let's go.
All right, all right. Now, share your favorite memories of the cultural exchange.
Oh my god, you're gonna know this one. So our like orientation in the mountains.
Oh my, yeah, I totally
I feel
agree.
like
That
the
was the best.
Flex, I love
That
you.
was
Thank
the
you for
best.
that. So
And Whirling,
it was
thank you so much for it.
amazing. Oh my god, and
It was
it's
an amazing
it
experience.
was my, hands down my favorite memory.
And it's like crazy because like the sleeping conditions were not even that good. Like that
No,
was.
they would say like, oh, don't worry, there's just a bear there, and I'm like, okay.
But I mean like just getting to know people from all around the world, and just like finding that connection with everyone and having fun and doing activities and
That pool party,
yeah, the
a
pool
kind of
part.
party, yeah.
And it was just that excitement because it was all new and you're like you're gonna stay here a year, so it was really really.
And it's like you with like 40 other people you never met before.
Exactly. It was very,
Especially me
very
meeting my
nice.
Serbian people. I never felt happier speaking Serbian. I was like, yes, I'm gonna use my opportunity right now. But other than that, Venice Beach. Like,
Venice Beach.
and
Oh,
I was
what?
like, oh, is this from the Barbie movie? That was my reaction. Is this
No
the beach for
way!
the
Did you
back?
go to the Barbie?
Yes.
No
And in front of
way.
the like, I don't know if you watched the movie, but Barbie at
I
some
didn't
point
watch it.
buys the whole set, right? And in front of the store she bought the set from is like Barbie was here. That's like the sign. I was like, oh my god! So LA is amazing. Venice Beach, my favorite part. But I would say Hanford is like cute as well here.
Yeah, Hanford has a lot of good places. You just have to
Oh,
look
the
around.
houses are so nice. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
the suburban part is like just going and taking pictures, and people are like, "What the heck are you doing, photographing my house?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, it's just too nice."
It is nice, especially your house.
Yeah, the neighborhoods, like especially in the northern part of the city, they're very nice. But I feel like everything is segregated in here. Like the northern part, the south part, like it's crazy. You
And
can
I
see
feel
the
like it's, like,
differences.
it takes so long to go from one part of town to another, and it's like small town.
I know, I know. All right, so I think we're gonna have to end up soon, but what do you
Let's
say
go
about
with one
one last question?
Yes.
All right,
Okay. Which one do you want?
I know. Surprise me.
Okay. So I'm gonna skip the weather
The weather.
because California clickbaited me. I thought everything was like warm, and then boom,
It's
hits
not
me
warm.
with 5 degrees Celsius.
I know.
So
Hanford.
I will say, what's your attitude towards individualism here?
Well, for
'Cause-
me, if there are two words you can describe me, it's Family Guy. So for me, like being part of a group, like being in family or like just your friend group, a community, for me is very important. So I value my individualism, like having the ability to have my own decisions, and especially I work better when I'm alone or with people I share values with. But I would say like just as a whole, I think the concept of always being like competing with each other is not good, especially for your mental health. So for me personally, maybe it's the bias, of living in another world for, well, 17 years. But I miss not being individual, you know? I miss the feeling of belonging and being part of something and actually feeling warm, when you meet the people and being safe because like that group is a safe space. My family has always been a safe space. And for me, the personal relationships like I feel comfortable in and I believe like those people are my family, that's a safe space for me. And in here it's very hard to create that safe space. So like I think that's one of the things I miss most about Europe.
And they said, like in our program, they said, no, not better, not worse, just like different. But I believe that this individualism is the harsh different,
Yes.
where you have to be an individual, that you don't have the option of being in a community. So back home, if you have a friend group, you're a part of that friend group. Like even though there's six of you, nobody looks at you as just you.
You're a
Kind
part of
a
the
part
group.
of the group.
Yes.
And like for example, if you see kids in the elementary school all hang out with each other, and so I believe that this individualism here, you have to work so much on yourself to the point where you, at some point, you have to compete. So back home, there is not an option not to compete. Like back home, you have an option compete or not compete. And those extraordinary ones are the ones who compete.
Yes.
And here,
Yes.
you have to compete.
Even like even if you don't want to do something spectacular, you're still in competition.
And I feel like
here.
our program is like
Yes.
making it worse, man. Oh,
I know.
God. Okay.
Thank you guys for listening and for having the patience to go through 46 minutes of exchange talking. I hope you got some new insights. And if you have any questions for us, we're more than welcome to
Are you gonna do the leave a like, a comment, and subscribe? Like
leave a
kind of
like.
thing?
Well,
God.
share it, share it. That's the thing I would say. Thank you again and have a great day.
Bye.